KGUN 9 on your side at 5 starts now.
The sun is going down and it's taking the dry weather with it. The storm system heading our way already has caused deadly mudslides in California.
Flu numbers are increasing every day in Tucson. How the Tucson VA is coping with a busy ER. And Arpaio for senator, the big announcement made on Twitter from the former Maricopa County sheriff.
Plus, the search for a new coach for the University of Arizona after Rich Rod was cut. A look at some of the top candidates. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Guy Ashley.
And I'm Stella Inger. We begin with a frightening situation for nearly 500 students at a school in Sierra Vista. A shooting put Coronado Elementary on lockdown. And that's where 9 News Side's Ivan Rodriguez joins us live with what we know. Ivan.
Guys, Stella, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office explained the school originally called about an active shooter situation. When deputies went inside one of the bathrooms, they found the body of a 14-year-old boy shot and killed. The Sheriff's Office says they're investigating this right now as a homicide until proven otherwise, despite the Sierra Vista School District releasing a statement to the media earlier today calling it a suicide. The school has posted a statement online, leaving the suicide statement out. Officials say nobody else was injured. The Palomino School District Superintendent says school will be in session tomorrow. They'll have counselors here for students and staff, and they say they'll be here as long as they need them. For more information, KGUN 9 will continue to give you the latest developments tonight at 6, 10, and also online. Live in Hereford, Ivan Rodriguez, KGUN 9 on your side.
Ivan, thank you. The storm system that caused deadly mudslides in California is the same one that is headed our way.
Santa Barbara County says 8 people have died so far. At least 25 were injured. You can see the debris left on major freeways. More than 21,000 people under mandatory evacuation. But the county says only 10 to 15% of people have left their homes. Officials say there is a backlog of rescue and evacuation calls because roads are blocked by mud and downed power lines. Even police cars are getting stranded in the muddy roads. Some cars are even being swept away by the deadly mudslides.
Meanwhile, here at home, Kyler Diggs joins us now in for Chief Meteorologist Aaron Christensen. And Kyler, when can we expect that rain to hit us here?
Well, Stella, we're going to expect it to move in tonight. We've already seen just a little band of moisture move through. We've got this little dry slot in here right now before the main brunt of the moisture moves in here. Let's zoom out a little bit and we can see why they're having the mudslide issues there in Southern California. Look at that heavy rain moving onshore right there. Center of circulation, that's the low pressure system that'll be bringing a cold front through here later tonight. This is all moving to the east. This is going to be a quick moving storm. It's not going to stick around all too long. Right now, as we take a look outside, if you didn't know the forecast, you'd be like, wow, what a nice evening we got shaping up for us. And it looks like nothing's going to happen, but it's going to change quickly overnight tonight. As that front comes through, we will see some pretty gusty winds, so a wind advisory is up for tonight through 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. This does not include Tucson, but we will see some gusty winds as well. Some of those wind gusts could go up to 50 miles an hour. We'll tell you what the wind's blowing into town coming up here in just a few minutes.
The number of flu cases is reaching record levels. The Tucson VA tells us a high number of veterans with flu-like symptoms are showing up in the emergency department. The Arizona Department of Health Services reports the flu outbreak in our state is a staggering 888% higher than a typical flu season, and it's affecting all hospitals. The Tucson VA says it's working hard to meet health care demands in the ER, and veterans suffering from the flu might have to wait longer to receive care. Veterans are urged to call the VA's toll-free number to see whether an ER visit is needed. If you have more information, you can find it at our website, kgun9.com.
Former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio has announced he is running for Senate. On Twitter, he said he's running for, quote, one unwavering reason to support the agenda and policies of President Donald Trump in his mission to make America great again. Governor Doug Ducey was in Tucson today for his State of the State address and had this to say.
What do you think about Joe Arpaio running for Senate?
You know, I just heard the announcement. I'm going to focus on my day job and stay out of politics. I'm not going to get involved in primaries.
President Trump pardoned Arpaio last August after Arpaio was convicted of criminal contempt charges for refusing to stop suspected undocumented immigrants. And Steve Bannon stepping down from Breitbart News. The former White House advisor will leave the website as executive chairman. Last week, Bannon reportedly fell out of favor with one of the site's major donors after the book Fire and Fury quoted Bannon for questioning President Trump's fitness for office. A big name, an upcoming coach, or a coach with West Coast ties.
Arizona football zeroing in on a new head coach. Sports director Jason Barr is here now.
Guy, Stella, it appears they are getting closer. Former Texas A&M head coach Kevin Sumlin, Troy head coach Neil Brown, and Cal offensive coordinator Beau Baldwin have reportedly emerged as top candidates for the position. Kevin Sumlin is a big-name coach who helped Johnny Manziel win the Heisman Trophy. He would probably retain defensive coordinator Marcel Yates, who is popular with players and recruits. Neil Brown is a young up-and-coming coach who helped Troy win the Sun Belt title. An Alabama television station reported last night he has already interviewed with the University of Arizona. And another name is this guy, Cal offensive coordinator Beau Baldwin. Before he was in that role, he won a lower-level national championship with Eastern Washington. Stella.
Jason, thank you. The trial for 3 people facing murder charges in the death of a baby girl is set for January. Next January, that is. A 2-week trial is set to start January 8th of next year. The 6-month-old mother's Kylie Brewer and her boyfriend John Paul Bogdanovich Jr. and the couple's friend Kaylee Gossett are facing murder and child abuse charges. The baby, Willow Brewer, died at the hospital last February. Doctors say she suffered bruises to her head, had blood in her nose and mouth, and a possible fractured bone in her arm.
The president was talking about dreamers today.
The 3 things he says must happen to be able to fix DACA. Plus, Governor Doug Ducey in Tucson today for his State of the State address, what he had to say about Arizona's growing opioid epidemic. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. President Donald Trump sat down with lawmakers today to talk about a fix for dreamers.
The president says this bill should be a bill of love. Republicans and Democrats came to a rare agreement that finding a solution is going to take both parties. For the president, any agreement must include 3 things: an end to chain migration, an end to the visa lottery, and he says without the border wall, there is no deal.
John, you need the wall. I mean, it's wonderful. I'd love not to build the wall, but you need the wall.
The president says ICE officers and Border Patrol agents say if you don't have the wall in certain areas, you cannot have security. There are more than 25,000 DACA recipients in Arizona.
Nearly 800 Arizonans died last year from opioid overdose. Governor Doug Ducey says he plans to call a special session of the legislature so lawmakers can focus on bills he says will help fight the opioid epidemic in our state. Kevin Boughton reports the governor says his plan includes going after drug makers as well as drug dealers.
Citing statistics that indicate the majority of heroin addicts begin with opioid medication, Governor Doug Ducey said his plan is aggressive yet compassionate.
Compassion for those struggling with addiction. This much I commit. All bad actors will be held accountable, whether they are doctors, manufacturers, or just plain drug dealers.
And sometimes when you hold people accountable, that can be controversial, but I think this is a responsibility of government. We're here to protect public health and public safety, and those are 2 things I intend to do with this opioid crisis.
Ducey declared a public health emergency in June of last year. He says his plan addresses problems like overprescription, but also accounts for legitimate sufferers of chronic pain.
This is somewhat similar to the methamphetamine crisis that we saw years ago. Years before that, the crack cocaine crisis. There is some difference here because much of it happens from behind a pharmacy window, but the principles are about the same.
Ducey has not announced when he plans to call the special session on opioid addiction.
And Governor Doug Ducey is running for a 2nd term this year. Already a number of Democrats have lined up to challenge him. Kelly Fryer, president of the Southern Arizona YWCA, announced her candidacy this morning. Also running longtime Tucson legislator Steve Farley and ASU professor David Garcia.
We are expecting a big change in weather tonight, Kyler.
Yes, we are. You wouldn't know it looking outside right now. Don't be fooled by the skies you see. It's 74 degrees, feels good, but we have mountain snow, valley rain, and wind all on the way with much cooler weather.
And massive natural disasters destroying parts of the country last year. How many billions of dollars did it wind up costing? You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. Disasters in the U.S. caused a record $306 billion in damage last year.
A majority of that coming from Hurricanes Harvey, Maria, and Irma. And historic wildfires cost about $18 billion. The NOAA says the numbers keep going up as climate change causes more extreme weather. Tucson saw its hottest year in 2017. All 50 states had above average temperatures for the third year in a row.
Now, KGUN 9 on your side first warning weather. Brought to you by Casino del Sol, the soul of Tucson.
And now the rains are coming to California, causing the mudslides. We're going to see a big, steep drop in temperatures over the next few days, and then it all clears out. That's the way we do it around here, especially in the wintertime. Skycam showing a pretty tranquil scene out there right now. You can see those palm trees starting to blow around a little bit. That is indications that the wind is starting to kick up across southeastern Arizona. We'll talk about that here in a second. Right now, let's give you a little update on where we've been so far today. 72 in Douglas, 76 in Tucson. We made it to 80 degrees in Phoenix this afternoon thanks to some of that sunshine. Temperatures right now across the region, we're still at 74 in Tucson. This is the warm before the storm. We're going to see a big drop in these numbers as we head on into tomorrow morning. Wind right now, it's out of the south at 20 miles an hour at the Tucson International Airport. A little bit stronger there in Gila Bend as well. Not so strong across Graham and Cochise County. That'll pick up a little bit later tonight. For us in Tucson, we'll see our rain chances going up quickly after 7 o'clock. That front will come through here right around midnight. Kind of depends just on your location from west to east. And then by early tomorrow morning, the rain will continue into early tomorrow morning, but then start to slack off pretty quickly by about mid-morning. Okay, so we've got the wind advisory tonight. That kicks into effect at 11 o'clock and goes through 5 a.m. Just while that front comes through here, we could see some wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Wind advisory does not include the Tucson metro area, but make sure you've got things secure because we will see some pretty gusty winds overnight here as well. Here's the wind forecast, and we're looking at 20-mile-an-hour winds around 11 o'clock tonight. Remember, some of those gusts could go much higher. Sierra Vista and Douglas will see the stronger winds as we head into about 1 to 3 to 4 in the morning, and Safford will feel the effects of those as well. And then we'll just kind of see a breezy day tomorrow, and then by tomorrow afternoon, those winds will subside quite a bit. Current conditions across the southwest, 46 in Flagstaff, 55 in Havasu with some rain moving in there. And a quick look at your nation's weather. Still pretty chilly in the northeast and the Great Lakes, 20s and 30s there. Tomorrow we're going to see that chilly air continuing to try and move off to the northeast, but another batch of Arctic air moving into the upper Midwest with teens there. Let's take a look at our storm system. Here it is right there, the center of circulation just off the coast of California, moving that rain in from west to east across our region. And here's what the futurecast shows. It'll show this storm system moving through. Snow levels will drop to about 5,000 feet early tomorrow morning. But again, this is going to be a quick moving storm. It will quickly move out into the Midwest and leave behind some relatively light precipitation totals. And then we can see those snow amounts as we head up to about 7,000 feet. We'll see around 7 inches. Above 6,000 feet, we could see about 1 to 3 inches. As far as rain, we'll be looking at totals less than about a ½ inch around here. All right, overnight lows tonight dropping into the 40s and 50s for us with those windy conditions and the rain moving in. And then for tomorrow, a much cooler day with highs in the 40s and 50s, upper 50s for most of the lower elevations, maybe a few low 60s to the west of Tucson. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We're going to go at 59 in Tucson for tomorrow, 64 on Thursday. And look at that rapid warm up right back to the mid 70s for the weekend. 70s will carry us into next week as well. And we're not looking for any freezing conditions overnight anytime this week. Let's head on back to the desk.
Kyler, thank you. And the death toll from the California wildfires and the mudslides now up to 13.
Just keeps climbing.
A Tucson baby is alive today thanks to volunteers in the community.
The money being raised so that baby Violet might get a transplant. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side. Today at KGUN 9 on your side at 6, the first American to win the Disney Marathon in more than a decade lives right here in Tucson.
It feels great. You know, it's one of those things that's tough to put in words.
Our exclusive interview with him today at 6.
In HD, you're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
A new office for Geico will begin construction later this year.
That's right. Bourne Companies will develop and build a new multi-level office building near 36th Street and South Kino Parkway. The new Geico office will bring about 700 jobs to Tucson. Construction will begin in about 6 months and expected to move in date will be middle of next year. Geico is the leading employer in Tucson with more than 2,000 employees.
Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is the richest person in history, wealthier than Bill Gates. Bezos' net worth reached more than $105 billion, according to Bloomberg. Most of his wealth comes from his Amazon holdings, tying his net worth to market fluctuations. He made about $1.4 billion when Amazon stock climbed nearly 1.5% yesterday. Toyota unveiled an electric self-driving car at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. It has an open interior space and comes in different sizes from 13 to 23 feet. It's large enough to hold small stores that can drive themselves to you. Toyota has partnered with Amazon and Uber to make this car. They will begin testing after a pilot program in the 2020 Olympic Games.
A Tucson baby got a life-saving transplant that cost more than $500,000. Volunteers for the Children's Organ Transplant, or CODA, have already raised $50,000 for Violet Whitman. She was born with a heart problem, and doctors in Phoenix successfully gave her a new heart. CODA works to ensure no child is denied a transplant or kept off a waiting list because of lack of money. If you're looking for a chance to give back to Tucson, you'll have the chance this week.
When you can help us stuff the bus and raise money for our community. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
This Friday, we need your help to stuff the bus.
From 4:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., bring any food or money donations to the Canyon Oaks Apartments on Pantano between Speedway and Broadway. All donations will go to the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona. We have the list of accepted items on KGUN9.com.
So we have heavy rain in California,
Yes.
deadly now because of the mudslides,
Right.
because of the fires, and that rain's headed our way.
Yeah, that whole system is moving here. And Stella, we've got a blowing dust advisory now. See that area highlighted with the yellow outline there? Yeah, so something to keep in mind. If you're headed westbound on I-8 this evening, or if you're headed out towards Sell on State 86, be careful out there. Some blowing dust, and then much cooler tomorrow. Rain arrives tonight, ends early tomorrow.
All right, get your umbrellas ready. Kyler, thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
World News Tonight is coming up next. We'll see you back here at 6.